Hello and welcome everybody to today's Commodities Corner presented by myself, Phil Carr, at the Gold and Silver Club. So during today's session, we will be covering live market analysis. We'll be going through a watch list of trade ideas. We'll talk you through gold, silver, crude oil, the commodity currencies, and we'll be discussing where they are heading next. We'll be answering questions, and of course, we will be providing live support as well. As always, contributions are very welcome. So before we get into it, let me introduce you to the Gold and Silver Club. The Gold and Silver Club is regarded as the go-to authority on commodities trading. As internationally respected experts, our analysis and our opinions on the metals, energies, and the agricultural markets, they're routinely sought by major financial television channels and publications, which includes Bloomberg, Reuters, CNBC, the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal. Over the last 10 years, myself and my team of experts, we have trained and mentored thousands of private traders from all over the world with our exclusive research-driven strategies. So with that, we'll go over to my charts and also have a look at the news feeds very shortly. There's quite a lot happening today with the OPEC announcement as well, where we've seen essentially an agreement in place, which I'll talk you through very shortly as we go over to the news feeds. Before we do so, a quick recap on taking trades utilizing binary.com. So when you are taking a position using binary.com, you're utilizing a deal ticket, which will look very much like the one I'm showing you on the screen. And typically when we execute a trade, we're either looking for the price to go higher or lower over a specified time frame, so either a rise or fall trade. Now, the way that works, of course, is that you win the trade if the price closes higher than your entry point, if you're looking for the price to go higher over the specified time frame, or you would win a trade if you're looking for the price to go lower and the price closes lower over a specified time frame as well. So to give you an example, we're looking at start time now at the moment. We could be looking at gold here. Duration 1 hour, payout of 2,500. If I'm looking for the price to close higher over 1 hour, if it does that, I would make £2,500 from that trade. If the trade loses, my risk on that trade is £1,415.65. If the trade loses, I would essentially lose the stake on the position. And then for a trade to go lower in the same way, the risk there would be £1,417. The payout is £2,500. If I win the trade, I would make £2,500. If I lose the trade, I would lose the stake on the position. Now, of course, you can pick whatever works within your portfolio. In terms of a payout, it could be £2,500, it could be £250, it could be £25, it could be £5. It all depends on the size of your portfolio, and it depends on the duration of time. I always like to go in now, so I'd like to execute trades at instant execution. But in terms of your exit on a trade, it really just depends on what sort of strategy that you're executing. But typically, I like to be in and out of trades a bit quicker on binary during day trades, unless it's a swing trade where I'm looking for a trade to be able to move in my direction over a few days. In that case, I'll be more likely to go for a trade over a number of days if I'm looking for a longer term position. Okay, so with that, let's go over to our favorite trade ideas right now. I'm going to take you over to the news feeds, and we'll also have a look, of course, at the charts as well. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Just bear with me as we bring this up. Okay, quick sound check again. Yep, you can see the charts okay, fantastic, and you can hear me okay. Yep, fantastic. Okay, great stuff. Thank you, Sharice. Right, so let's have a look at the latest news. So this is pretty breaking news over the last 20 minutes or so. OPEC has agreed a modest hike in oil supply after Iran has softened their stance. So OPEC agreed today on a modest increase in oil production from July after its leader, Saudi Arabia, persuaded arch-rival Iran to cooperate amid calls from major consumers to help reduce the price of crude and avoid a supply shortage. So you can see here, oil is up 2% today as a result of that. If we go over to the oil chart, we've got at the moment a technical buy between Brent crude oil and WTI crude oil. we are seeing Brent crude oil is, WTI crude oil at the moment is leading. It's already broken out to the upside here. We've got a clear buy signal. We've actually broken above the weekly highs. If we look at that on a weekly chart, we've got a bullish engulfing candle, which is quite a strong buy signal that's forming right now on US oil. So WTI crude oil has had a breakout, and it looks like we're actually breaking out of this major downward trending channel, which oil has been in now for the last month. Oil prices have declined to the downside over 10% since this correction, when oil prices broke out to $80 per barrel. What I suspect has happened here is it has been buy the rumor, and with the rumor, the opposite way around, actually sell the rumor, which is that OPEC will be going ahead with an increase in oil production. And with that, we've continued to see declines in price. The anticipation of more oil coming to the market, the price would go down. And now the actual news has been delivered. We're actually seeing the reversal happen here, and traders are utilizing this as now a time to re-establish long positions. What I'm very interested in later on today is the commitment of traders data to see what the overall net long position, what the change has been from funds over the last week, to see if there has been an increase in net longs. Right now, you can see evidently there is a breakout. I mean, oil right now, US oil is up 2.4% today, up 5% now this week. Brent crude oil has been lagging. So if you haven't executed, or if you're not in oil at the moment, WTI crude oil for a long, I would look at Brent crude oil next. You've got the potential, we've got a buy signal starting to develop, and we've got a large bull flag in development on Brent crude oil as well. So if we break above the upper end of that trend channel, we could start to see more follow through. You can see this buy signal flashing on and off at the moment. So on Brent crude oil, there is still time. I'm watching to see whether we will get additional follow through this afternoon for oil, whether we continue to see this momentum higher. But certainly, if you've missed out on WTI crude oil, which is, it is starting to surge now. I mean, there is clean air there really for a move back towards about $68 per barrel now. You can see it's on lower time frames as well. Let's have a look. You've got this breakout to the upside. So overall, this news has been taken as a positive by the market, and you can see the breakout that we're seeing at the moment on oil. I would be looking at, again, Brent. I mean, Brent's almost coming up to $75 per barrel now. I'll have a look at it on a weekly chart as well. You can see where we found support right at the lower end, actually, of this trend channel the last 12 months, where it's come right back to support. So it looks like Brent crude oil will likely line up here on a breakout move as well. At the moment, anyway, it's early in the session. We're only about 2 o'clock London time right now, but the signals are there at the moment, indicating that we might get a breakout also on Brent crude oil alongside WTI crude oil, which is certainly up and running now. So with that, we'll go back to some of the major news stories, because I want to also go over the metals with you too. But essentially, that has been bullish for oil prices, and we've continued to see a breakout off the back of that news as well. We'll go over to the metals. The metals have been really interesting this week. So gold started to get a bid earlier on in the session today. We saw this week gold prices broke down to 6-month lows. Platinum prices broke down to 2.5-year lows as well. Silver has come all the way back down towards $16.30 per ounce this week. Potentially, we're at a reversal level for the metals, but it does depend to a certain degree on whether the dollar today gets a bid, because the dollar earlier on in the session was pulling back after it broke out yesterday to 11-month highs. And we started to see the US dollar correct, and it's starting to roll over earlier on in the session. It really depends on whether the dollar, and I'll show you the dollar index here, it's going to depend a lot on whether the dollar holds this rejection candle that's developed. If I show you on another time frame, we can have a look at a raw chart, and it will just be much clearer. So if we have a look at the dollar index on a raw chart, you can see where we've had a false breakout to the upside, breaching the 11-month highs. Then it's been a bull trap, and so far the dollar has been reversing, and it's continued to follow through. We're only at the beginning of the US session at the moment, but if this closes with a negative close like this, and we get a close below yesterday's low, close near the daily lows here as well. If you look at the weekly chart, we look to be on for a potential reversal. You can also just marry that up with some channels on the chart too, just where we're poised right now. over the last 3 attempted breakouts of this level. We're still very overbought on the dollar right now. It has been quite a relentless upward trend of late, so it does depend. Fridays are prone to reversals, so you just need to be a little bit wary of that. But we do have the beginning signs of a bit of a base forming here at the moment, certainly on silver. If you have a look at silver, you've got a very clear, I mean, this is very much a raw chart here, but you can see where silver's been bouncing off a key level of support. We've continued to ricochet just off around $16 and about 20 cents per ounce. We've executed a number of trades at this level, obviously, and we're also looking to re-establish long positions at this zone as well. As long as it holds up, you can see that very clearly. Even if you go back further on the chart here, you can see what an important level around $16 just above that has been in terms of support. And typically we're seeing resistance coming around $17 and about 20 cents per ounce for silver. So a very range-bound market at the moment. And I would look at the potential to establish a long position, particularly if the US dollar continues to sell off. I'm also looking at 2 commodity currencies in particular as well. And in fact, I'll mention the pound. It's worth mentioning because we've just banked 130 pips on this morning after getting in after yesterday's Bank of England interest rate decision yesterday, and that turned out to be a capitulation, and it's been really nice follow through so far this morning. But we're now flat on the pound. Might re-enter that next week. If you look at it on the weekly, it's quite a strong rejection candle for me on the weekly, but it's prone to reversals as well later on in the session. Seems to be capped around the 133 handle at the moment. So that's one I'll be looking at for next week. Australian dollar, US dollar, we actually executed a fresh buy position just this morning. That's really starting to ramp up now as well, as we're seeing dollar weakness, but overall that's been very oversold. It's come all the way back down towards the lower Keltner channels where we're bouncing, which is, if you look at this purely from a technical point of view, you want to marry that up with what's happening in the overall market. But if you look at that from a technical point of view, you can see how well that's just bounced off the lower Keltner channels. And at the moment, we're seeing a nice reversal. If you go over to the weekly chart, got a nice strong rejection candle forming on the weekly too. So I'm staying long the Australian dollar for now. You'll get likely follow through as well on, we were seeing some good support on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and the Australian dollar CAD earlier on in the session. Let's look at that again. Yeah, you can see here where we're very range bound as well. Australian dollar, Japanese yen moving really well. Support, resistance, support, resistance. I mean, that's sort of textbook, isn't it, in terms of technicals there, where it's finding support and getting a bid at the moment. It's just about broken above the last 3 days of highs. There's quite a lot of trade opportunities that I'm seeing marrying up at the moment, but most of these trades are dependent on the dollar continuing this move lower. You just need to be a little bit nimble here, just in case we see a reversal later on in the session, because the dollar has been relentless within this overall upward trend. But it might be a turning point. If it turns out to be a turning point in the dollar and the dollar starts to pull back more significantly next week, you can expect a bid for the metals and a number of other currencies as well. We can also look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar here. So let's have a look at that and go over to a weekly chart as well. New Zealand dollar, US dollar has come right back to 2-year lows here, and it's getting a bid right off that zone. So again, you can see on the weekly chart getting well supported. On the daily chart here as well, we are forming a rejection candle. Some good follow through so far. I suspect it might turn out to be a V-shaped reversal pattern going into next week. So we could see a full-on reversal in price. That's what I would be looking out for, the potential for this momentum to increase if we get follow through. So with the New Zealand dollar, I would keep an eye on that as well. And the euro US dollar is getting a bid today too. We've seen a breakout, bit of a capitulation as well. It looks like a bear trap. We're starting to see a bit of follow through at the moment as well. And then this brings us back over to the metals. So silver, again, we are getting supported at a key level right now. We've been short copper over the last week. Copper still looks a bit vulnerable, actually. We've shorted this whole move. We've taken 3 separate trades building into this sell position to the downside. We're back at key support at the moment. Still looks a bit vulnerable to me at the moment, copper. Moving over to platinum. Platinum, we have actually established an aggressive long position on, so we are buying platinum at this zone. It's revisited the lower Keltner channel. I do quite like the potential for platinum. A lot of upside from this level if it does what it's done previously. When it comes back down towards the lower Keltners here, there's quite a lot of upside potential here within platinum. If we do bounce from this zone, you can see we're coming right back into support again. So platinum starting to show evidence here that we could get some follow through later on in the session as well. And then of course gold. Now, gold has been lagging. So if you look, let's just go over in terms of percentage terms and just do a comparison. Palladium, what are we at? Right, so I need to change the chart on that to look at percentages. Bear with me. Yeah, let's have a look at the percentages. So gold this week, flat. Well, actually, no, it's negative minus 1% on the week. And gold, it is holding around 1,268 US dollars per ounce at the moment. Has bounced off a support zone, but it's not having such a big move as we're seeing on other metals at the moment. Platinum is up about 0.5% on the day at the moment. Copper is negative on the day. Silver is up 0.4% on the day, so silver is leading. Palladium is up 0.28%. So they're starting to get some support. It would be aggressive at the moment to be entering into gold, but sometimes fortune does favour the brave with these sort of trades if you're able to pick the exact reversal points. But out of the metals that I'm looking at the moment, platinum is my favourite right now. It's leading actually. It's up 0.6% on the day, and we'll see whether it follows through more later on in the session today as well. So I do favour the potential for platinum to form a bottom around this zone. It's finding support where it should be getting supported. But again, to a certain degree, that does depend also on the US dollar and how that behaves later on in the session as well. Now, what I'm going to be looking at later on today, it will come out about 8:30ish London time, is the commitment of traders data. I'm very interested to see whether funds have increased their net long positions on gold or whether they've reduced, and silver as well, because that will give us a bit of a heads up in terms of what we can expect going into next week. So you remember last Friday, we saw this big dump in commodities last week. So oil sold off at 3% on Friday, gold sold off over 2%, silver sold off 3.5%. They all sold off significantly after the European Central Bank announcement and Mario Draghi's press conference, which lent into a lot of weakness on Friday. The dollar capitulated. Now I want to see what are the funds doing going into next week. Have they increased or decreased their positions on gold and silver? And I want to know what they've done on oil as well, whether they've increased or decreased. So typically that has a very direct correlation with price, whether the funds and overall the managed funds have increased their net long positions or not, or whether they've started to reduce those positionings. So I'm very interested to see what that data shows. Also, if we have a quick rundown, what is moving at the moment? I mean, gosh, oil's definitely getting a bid now, up 3%. Let's go back, actually, whilst we're getting some momentum there. Brent, gosh, look at Brent grow. Okay, so we're starting to see the breakout there. Yeah, WTI crude oil is up and running. So Brent suggests, I mean, it certainly looks like a buy is setting up now. I mean, it's the best mover of the day. That OPEC announcement has definitely given it some momentum. If you look at the commodity index too, overall the commodity index is at a very key level here right now. So we've got, you could look at a trend channel which goes all the way back down towards the lows here that we formed around June of last year. And we're just coming out of this where I'm looking at the potential for big reversals here in a lot of commodities, including the metals, energy, which is getting a strong bid today. It's now up 3%. This is the overall Reuters commodity index, and I think it could actually be setting up for a really good buy opportunity now for a number of different commodities. So if you're looking at the precious metals and you're looking at the energy market as well, and even some of the commodity currencies, you might want to remember this, where we're poised with a potential reversal point here. We can bring that probably into lower time frames. Look over the last 5 days, it's probably not going to help you as much. Look over 30 days. You can see where we're starting to get this reversal on the Reuters commodity index, and we're starting to get this bounce, which would suggest if we start to form a bit of a low here for the dollar, for the metals, and the dollar starts to correct, it could be quite a good opportunity to then look at a bounce higher here for commodities in general. Okay, so again, oil looks like it wants to break out now. I mean, certainly Brent crude oil is on the verge of a breakout of the channel. If you're not already in the trade, you might want to wait for just a retracement entry on that. You don't really want to catch it just before reversal or profit taking. It's moved quite a lot. Oil, I don't see it, generally speaking, move much more than about 3 or 4% in a day. OPEC meetings can be the wild card, but it's quite overbought on the day now. Oil, although an OPEC meeting would be one of the days where it can do more than 3%. But bear in mind that WTI crude oil is up already 3.4%. You've got the oil inventory, the crude oil rig count coming out later on today as well at 6 o'clock London time. But in terms of the biggest movers right now, oil definitely significant, up 3.4% on the day here for WTI crude oil. Brent crude oil as well, up over 2% on the day too, so that's quite a strong mover here. Australian dollar and Australian dollar Japanese yen and Australian dollar CAD are all getting a bid. I would look at that as well. So let's just bring over Australian dollar CAD. Yeah, that's been a really decent breakout. I think we've actually hit our profit target on that now. So yes, that's been a really nice breakout, actually, V-shaped reversal pattern breakout on Australian dollar CAD. Australian dollar Swiss franc, how's that looking? Yeah, potential for a new trade lining up on that. All the Australian dollars crosses are looking good now. In fact, we're long Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar as well. Beautiful. That's looking quite good too. So you can see here again, I mean, sentiment-wise, the pound was in play yesterday. It's had a bit of follow through today. But overall, at the moment, the Australian dollar is the best performer. Actually, pound Japanese yen was quite a strong mover as well earlier on in the session. What's not moving well at the moment? Pound Australian dollars selling off. The dollar, of course, is down today. You can see here just what a huge impact the dollar, a negative day on the dollar, has on the rest of the market. The rest of the market is having a field day today after the dollar correction that we're seeing right now. I think we are at a very important turning point at the moment. We put together a very special training about the 5 biggest trading opportunities right now. Did a big event yesterday on this. If you go over to the Gold and Silver Club YouTube channel, it's just been posted, the 5 big trade ideas. We spent a whole hour going through this in a lot more detail. So we go through a lot of research and data. So if you have time at the weekend, go to our YouTube channel and watch the 5 big trade ideas right now. Okay, so it's just search the Gold and Silver Club on YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel, and watch that training. Good training for the weekend if you want to get prepared for the second half of 2018. Again, this commodity index is poised for a potentially, nothing is ever guaranteed, of course, within the financial markets, but where we're poised at the moment, we could see a reversal point here soon for the commodity index, which would suggest overall commodities could actually be reaching a bottom, and it's right at the lower channel at the moment where we could actually bounce from this level. So I would be looking out for a potential reversal from this point. Okay, super, good. So let's have a look. I think I'll go through any other trade opportunities which are lining up as well. Yeah, oil. I mean, it's actually quite nice to be able to just look at this. Is kind of a different sort of chart to look at than the technicals and the candlesticks. This is oil, very clear upward trend, which we're respecting. You can see that over the last year or so. We've just come for a revisit back towards the lower channel. That's WTI crude oil, Brent crude oil. Similar as well with the trajectory. We look to be now breaching above $75 per barrel. That could be a really nice bull flag and a breakout to the upside if it follows through. Platinum, starting to bounce on platinum there as well, of course. Australian dollars come all the way back down to the 2017 swing lows, getting a nice bounce on that zone at the moment. Euro also, I mean, Euro is really getting a bid today, isn't it? Up 0.5% on the day. Pound Japanese having a nice recovery as well. Yeah, breakout on the pound Canadian dollar. Let's look at silver. Silver, you can see we've come back into this accumulation zone. For the time being, it looks like it wants to hold up at that level. It was going through the gold to silver ratio earlier on today and it's starting to sell off, which indicates that the bottom could be in for silver here. See what else we've got. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I mean, that's a very clear level of support there. Let's go further out here. Right at a major level, accumulation zone. Very range-bound market as well, and you're right back at support. Gold too, I mean, pretty much we're right at the low channel, aren't we? If we have a look at that, just marry that up visually. Let's see if I can show you this. what I'm trying to just demonstrate is these swing lows, which you could just marry that up. You could draw a trend line and just marry up those levels. I could probably show you that on gold anyway. If you go back over to the gold chart, and let's bring that over to a raw chart, and bring out the weekly chart, and we just marry up the swing lows. We're pretty much at that level at the moment on gold. And you could also marry that up with this parallel channel where you could be, I mean, the low could be getting put in soon. I mean, I'd definitely put that on the radar where we are with commodities at the moment. We're at some major reversal points here where if they hold at these levels, could be quite a lot of upside between now and the rest of the year. And oil could be a turning point today from this OPEC announcement. So I think that's really it, guys, in terms of the major opportunities that I see lining up at the moment. Again, in terms of our own positions, we banked the pound US dollar this morning. I'm long Australian dollar US dollar this morning. I still like the crosses like Australian dollar, Japanese yen at the moment as well. And also, you can see I put that on the daily, just getting a bid. I still quite like Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and I'm still long Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar as well. We'll probably actually stay in that for the time being, as long as it doesn't reverse later in the session. It's a neckline for a breakout. So I'm long that at the moment. I've come out of copper sell shorts. We've re-established a position on platinum. A bit of an aggressive trade, but I'm looking for more upside on that going into next week. Keeping a very close eye on silver and gold at these levels. Oil as well. You can see the oil breakout. Brent as well. I just bear in mind on Brent that we're coming up to against a bit of resistance here. Oil's been a nice move so far. I mean, WTI crude oil has broken out today, and it's up quite a lot on the day. I would try and avoid chasing it if you can. There might be some retracements later on in the session, depending on how the Baker Hughes oil rig count comes out. Also, as a point of note, next week, the live trading room commodities corner, which we're doing at the moment, is going to be hosted on Thursday. Okay, so we're going to be hosting the binary webinar. Excuse me, let me just double check the link for that. Yeah, so next week, the commodities corner won't be on the Friday. I think we'll see if we can put the link there in the chat for you, but it will be, you should automatically get notified that anyway. Yeah, it's the 27th, right, Therese? Okay, perfect. So that is actually going to be on the 27th. Yep, okay, perfect. Thanks for that, Therese. We'll see if we can put the link there in the chat for you as well. So just note, next week's commodities corner is not going to be on the Friday. Before we wrap up for today's session, I'm just going to quickly check and see if there's any additional, thanks for that, Therese, that's perfect. See if there's any additional news items you need to be aware of. Okay, that's interesting. So we're seeing indices roll over. There is an OPEC meeting which is occurring tomorrow as well for non-OPEC members. Next OPEC meeting, December the 3rd. These happen every 6 months. This is another one just to have in your diary. Yeah, we'll be watching this. Any updates throughout the afternoon as well. Overall, so far, the market is taking it as a positive. Okay, so we've seen this breakout on oil right now. The changes will take effect from July the 1st. And we'll just have a quick look Let's see what is happening. It sounds like equity being a bit of a sell-off here. Okay, S&P back down at 2,749, drop half a percent. Okay, well, let's have a look at that as we go into the session this afternoon. Yeah, there's still some vulnerability to the Dow Jones, DAX. FTSE's getting a bid though. NASDAQ is rolling over. It's been interesting this week, especially in the Dow Jones. We've seen a fairly sizable breakdown in price. Might be worth just keeping an eye on this afternoon if we do crack through some of these levels on the weekly chart. So you can see we've started to roll over on the weekly with the Dow Jones. For those of you who trade indices. And again, it's Friday, and the reason I mention that is Friday can be prone to reversals, profit taking, so it can happen. Where we're poised at the moment, we've just about hit the 21-day moving average on the US dollar. So just be nimble out there today in terms of taking profit off the table and looking at additional trade opportunities, because if the dollar finds support later in the session and we get a rejection candle, we get a continuation pattern, you'll see reversals on a lot of other markets. But right now, the sentiment is negative for the dollar. It's bullish for commodities. It's bullish for commodity currencies. And it's bullish for, it's fairly bullish for the euro and also for the pound as well. Okay, so I hope that helps and gives you a little bit of insight into what we're looking at the moment. And those are really my favorite trade ideas right now. I'll go a little bit more detail into how we trade at the Gold and Silver Club. I'm sure you get a bit of a sense of that from today's session, but essentially during the week with all of our clients at the Gold and Silver Club, we run live trading rooms. We've got the live trading room program. Our members of the Gold and Silver Club, they have access to our custom built market data and news trading platforms. They get the news feeds coming through throughout the day, as I've just shown you some of the updates coming through regarding OPEC as well. They get invitations to all of the live trading rooms that we do during the week, and also to the major news items that we trade to. So we do preparation for non-farm payroll for FOMC statements. You get real-time alerts delivered instantly by email and SMS. You also get a weekly trading plan with technical analysis and fundamental research. You get VIP phone and email support directly from our senior traders. You get access to our platform setup and configuration with customized charts and indicators. Private members also get access to our academy, so our membership site, with a range of training videos, strategies, signals, discussion boards as well. And essentially you get access to all of that via the live trading room program. And if you'd like to make an application to join that, enrollment is now open, and all you need to do is go to www.jointhegoldandsilverclub.com, complete the enrollment form, and we will get in touch with you ASAP. Okay, fantastic. And thanks for that as well, Sharice, on the link there below for the Commodities Corner. Yeah, perfect. Just as a note on that, the 27th, I'm sure it's on the link there anyway. I think it's a Wednesday there, Sharice, on the 27th. Just double checking the calendar. But have a it's okay, perfect. It's a Wednesday. Yep, excellent. So we'll be hosting the next Commodities Corner will be held next week on Wednesday the 27th, instead of the usual schedule on Friday. Okay, and again, as I mentioned, if you've got some time at this weekend, go over to our YouTube channel, because it's well worth just watching the 5 big trade opportunities on commodities between now, well, right now actually, and as we go into the next quarter. So go over to YouTube, search the Gold and Silver Club, and I would definitely encourage you to subscribe and watch that if you get some time over the weekend. Okay, fantastic. So thanks again, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's session. Thanks to Sharice and the team at Binary for putting on today's Commodities Corner. And I wish you all good trading. And we'll speak to you on the next one. Okay, and of course, look forward to work with those of you who make an application to join us at the Gold and Silver Club. Okay, take care, guys. All the best and good trading.